there. My name is Natasha Boyko, and I'm Director of Channel Development for ID Agent. Thanks so much for joining me for a quick walkthrough of the Dark Web ID platform. Dark Web ID is a SaaS alerting platform that monitors the dark web for credential exposure. We all know that employees are logging into all sorts of websites, both work-related and not work-related, and using the same password or variation of a password across the board. When these third-party websites are breached, cybercriminals are gathering this data and using that password information to potentially get into the network and cause some serious damage to the organization. So our platform monitors for that exposure and alerts you, allowing you to communicate quickly and effectively with your customers. Our platform is essentially divided into two major components. So one is the ongoing 24/7 monitoring at a domain level for your organizations. This is your managed service component. This is what you're reselling to your customers and offering as a service. And then we've also got the live data search. This is your prospecting tool. So it's your ability to leverage the data found within the platform to potentially bring in new clients and drive new MRR for your organization. When you log into the platform, you'll see the first thing that you're able to do is upload your company's logo. This means that every export, every report that you're pulling from the platform will be branded and have your MSP's logo on that report. You'll have a high-level overview on your home screen showing you activity with all of the organizations that you're monitoring, and then you're able to drill down at an organization level. When you're adding an organization to the platform, within 24 hours, you're going to see all of the historical data that we found associated with that domain. It takes about 24 hours, and there's potentially a significant chunk of data. There are reports go back to about 2009, 2010, so there's a lot of data to comb through that really gives you insight into the employee behavior within that organization and where there may be gaps in training, gaps in policies and procedures, and potential risk that you're able to communicate out to your customer. You'll see, again, a high-level overview drilled down to the domain level so you can see what's happening with that particular organization. And then when you dive into the actual report, you're going to get those individual compromised records. So what we're sharing with you when we're providing these alerts essentially is going to be the email address that was compromised and the full clear text password associated with that particular record. This gives you an opportunity to immediately validate that data and show the customer, this was your password, it was exposed. Not only do you need to change it immediately, but we need to figure out, what's your password behavior? How smart are you being about creating passwords that could potentially be exposed? You're also going to see other categories of information associated with that particular compromise related to where on the dark web did we find it. So oftentimes you'll see identity theft forum. These are the areas of the dark web where cyber criminals are sharing that they've got this data, whether it's for sale, for auction, or even potentially just there for the taking. Then you'll also see how that compromise initially happened. So this, in this instance, it's a data breach. So that third-party website was breached by a cyber criminal and they pulled these compromised records from that particular website. And then oftentimes you'll also see different attribution of what was the website that was initially compromised? Where did this initially happen? In this case, Dueling Network, verifications.io, when we have that information, we will share it. You may also see, though, in this particular column, not disclosed. And this means that the cyber criminal either didn't share what website was initially compromised, or the data set might have been incomplete when our analysts have discovered that. But ultimately, you always want to steer your customer back towards the email address and the password. Because at the end of the day, if they're using that password for any other accounts, they're all at risk now because that password is out there and a cyber criminal is able to grab that. We like to make the monitoring component of this really easy for you and your team to manage. We don't want you to have another platform that you have to log into. We don't want it to be cumbersome for you or for your tech. So we've got several ticketing integrations that are really simple to set up, and we can help you get those organized. But it allows you to just create service tickets when a compromise is found. So we have out-of-the-box integrations for Kaseya BMS, ConnectWise, and Autotask. And once you have those integrations set up, it's really simple, and you'll just get a service ticket in your ticketing system, and you can manage that communication flow that way. You're also able to, at these individual record levels, add notes, add different status updates. So resolved, might mean that you've had a conversation with that customer, they've seen it, they've addressed it, and that way you can filter out those results. All of the data in the monitoring component of the platform is exportable either by CSV or PDF. So you're able to then take that information and, share that with your customer, whether it's in a PDF form or in a pure CSV, so you can manipulate the data a little bit that way. But really, this gives you the ability to have that overview as to what's happening in the organization. You're also able to monitor personal email addresses within the platform and IP addresses. So just other layers of security there so that you can have visibility into what's going on. The other component of the platform, as I mentioned earlier, is the live data search. So this is your ability to really leverage this from a sales and marketing standpoint. So you can pop a domain into the platform. We're using just a sample here. Press search, and instantly you're going to get the most recent records found for that particular organization. You'll see that the report itself looks quite similar to the ongoing monitoring component. The biggest difference here is that we're masking the passwords after the first 4 characters. This is the ability for you to use this and leverage this as a hook, as a sales tool. One of the other icons that you see here is this note card, and this is PII. So sometimes we do find that it's not only a password exposed, but other categories of information. This is, not super bad, just a username here, but you may see billing address, mailing address, birth date, social security number, all of those other categories of information that in the wrong hands cause some serious damage to the organization. As I mentioned, all of this data is exportable for you, so you can export into a CSV if you want something just more data driven. But what our marketing team has done is also given you the opportunity to export this into a PDF so that you have a very clean branded report that you're able to bring into that sales meeting, do this at a trade show, at a webinar, whatever way you're leveraging this data. But again, it's clean and it's branded, and there's other information provided within this report so that you can really use this as a solid leave behind if you're in that meeting. You're going to get obviously all of the data, and then at the very end we include a really great infographic that shows you why monitoring for this exposure is so important. So if you leave that meeting and they start passing around this report, there's some context there, and the individuals at that organization can understand why this is so important. So taking both of these components, both the monitoring side and the marketing and prospecting component here, really allows you to leverage this data and not only support your customers and provide that ongoing monitoring, but it also gives you an opportunity to potentially drive new revenue and go into that sales meeting and differentiate yourself as an MSP and provide them tangible data that they can use to make a decision about cybersecurity and what solutions their organization needs. So thank you so much for joining, and we will talk to you soon.